The story begins with a man waking up in a panic. He has no idea where he is, and suddenly finds himself on top of an elevator platform, surrounded by a crowd of strangers who excitedly greet him with cheers of, "Welcome, Greenie!" Feeling threatened, he panics and bolts away, only to trip and fall. Confused and scared, he looks around, shocked to see he's trapped within towering walls. Let's call him the Greenie for now. The Greenie soon meets Albie, the leader, who explains that they were all placed here by someone unknown. The Greenie admits he can't remember anything, but Albie tells him that his memory, at least his name, should return within 2 days. Albie begins introducing him to the others in the group. Newt, another leader, compliments the Greenie and suggests he might make a good runner someday, though he says it with a hint of sarcasm after the Greenie stumbles. Albie explains the 3 rules in this place. Don't be lazy, help each other, and most importantly, don't go into the maze unless you're a runner. Later, the Greenie meets Chuck, who tells him everyone here has experienced the same memory loss. Curious, the Greenie approaches the giant walls of the maze. Chuck warns him not to go in. Suddenly, 2 runners, Ben and Minho, emerge from the maze. Chuck says the runners are the only ones who know the maze inside and out. Hearing the word maze sparks even more curiosity in the Greenie. As he steps closer, a guy named Gally shoves him back. The Greenie gets angry, and the others rush in to calm him down, but then a loud roar echoes from the maze. The gates begin to close. Gally tells him the sound came from the Griever, a terrifying monster that lurks inside the maze. That night, everyone throws a party to welcome the Greenie. Newt gives him a tour and introduces everyone, but the Greenie accidentally walks into a wrestling match and gets dragged into the ring. As a tradition, Gally challenges him to a friendly wrestling match. Whoever pushes the other out of the circle wins. The Greenie fights with all his might and surprisingly tricks Gally into falling. But Gally gets angry and kicks him in the head. At that moment, the Greenie suddenly remembers his name, Thomas. He shouts it out and the crowd cheers for him. But before they can celebrate too long, the roar of a Griever is heard again. That night, Thomas has a strange dream. He sees a lab and hears a voice saying, "Wicked is good." He wakes up suddenly to Albie covering his mouth. He must have been talking in his sleep. Albie takes him to the wall with the names of the runners who never returned. Later, while gardening, Newt tells Thomas to fetch some fertilizer from the woods. There, Thomas discovers a grave with a skull. He's then confronted by Ben, one of the runners. Ben seems normal at first, until he violently attacks Thomas, yelling, "This is your fault!" Ben seems normal at first, until he violently attacks Thomas, yelling, "This is your fault!" Thomas runs for help. Albie knocks Ben out and reveals a mark on Ben's chest. He was stung by a Griever. The sting makes people go mad. Because of this, Ben is considered infected and they banish him into the maze, sacrificing him. His name is later carved into the wall. That night, Thomas has the same disturbing dream of the lab. The next morning, Albie and Minho enter the maze to investigate where Ben was stung. By evening, everyone waits anxiously as the maze gates begin to close. Just before they shut, Minho appears carrying Albie, who's unconscious. Without hesitation, Thomas rushes in to help, breaking the most important rule. Inside the maze, Minho is shocked Thomas followed him. It's basically suicide. Albie is barely alive. Minho wants to leave him, but Thomas refuses. They tie Albie to a tree root and try to pull him up. Suddenly, a Griever appears, terrifying Minho, who flees. Thomas hides under the leaves as the Griever passes. Later, Thomas lures the Griever away and uses tree roots to climb. Unaware a Griever is crawling above him. He sprints, but finds himself cornered. With no choice, he leaps across to another platform. The Griever gets tangled in vines and dies. Thomas reunites with Minho, and they run through the shifting maze. Thomas tricks another Griever into following him and leads it into a closing section of the maze, crushing it to death. Back at camp, everyone is stunned they made it out alive. Minho announces that Thomas killed a Griever. A meeting is held because Thomas broke the rules by entering the maze. Minho proposes making him a runner. Gally disagrees. Suddenly, the elevator platform rises again, this time with a girl. Newt finds a note. She's the last one, ever. When the girl wakes up, she gasps, "Thomas!" At the hall, Albie is seen tied up. He's been infected. Everyone wants answers. Who's behind this and why are they trapped? The group returns to the maze to examine where the Griever died. They're shocked to find its heart still beating. Minho grabs it. It might be important. They return to the hall with the heart. Minho explains the people who built this maze also created the Grievers. Gally accuses Thomas of bringing disaster. As punishment, Newt locks Thomas in the pit with no food for a day. Minho later shows Thomas the secret runner map room. Just then, they hear the girl is awake. She's panicked and throws things at people. Thomas says her name, Teresa, and she calms down. She only remembers her name and two strange items labeled WCKD. Thomas thinks they might be the cure for the infection. When he tries to inject Albie resists, but Teresa does it anyway. That night, Thomas is still punished. Chuck joins him and they talk through the night. In the morning, Thomas enters the maze with Minho. They explore a new area they've never seen before, massive, with razor-sharp walls. They find a bloody shirt, possibly Ben's. Suddenly, the Griever heart starts beeping. Thomas follows the signal, which leads to a dead end, but when he gets close, a hidden door opens. But a loud noise follows. The maze begins shifting again, its walls moving rapidly. Thomas and Minho run for their lives and barely escape. They return to camp with hope. Maybe there's a way out. But back in the hall, Albie wakes up and accuses Thomas of being one of the people who trapped them here. Outside, everyone panics. The maze gates are no longer closing. The Grievers are coming. As chaos erupts, Thomas and Teresa hide. The Grievers attack mercilessly. Teresa grabs oil and sets a Griever on fire, letting the group escape. But even inside the hall, a Griever slips its tail through and grabs Chuck. Albie cuts the tail to save Chuck, but is then dragged away himself. Gally appears, blaming everything on Thomas. Overwhelmed with guilt, Thomas stabs himself with the Griever tail and passes out. In his unconscious state, Thomas remembers the truth. He was once part of the scientists who ran this experiment. Albie was right. Thomas and Teresa are locked up, accused of being the enemy. Thomas explains everything. They were researchers who wiped the group's memories for an experiment. They're brought to the maze entrance to be executed, but someone speaks up. They can still escape. Teresa urges everyone to fight for their lives. Some agree to help. Together, they head into the maze. More Grievers await, but the group fights back, pushing them off the edge. Thomas uses the Griever heart to open a secret door. They rush in. They now enter a dark hallway and find a chaotic control room. Thomas touches a screen, and suddenly, a woman appears, Dr. Ava Page. She explains that Earth has suffered from extreme solar flares and a virus that attacks the brain. The maze was designed to test human resilience. Those who survive may hold the key to saving humanity. Just as they're about to escape, Gally appears with a gun, blaming Thomas. He shoots, but Chuck jumps in the way. Newt throws a spear, killing Gally. Chuck dies in Thomas's arms. The end, a truly epic ending. Soon, armed soldiers arrive and rescue the group. The survivors are told they are now safe.